Hi, this is Dave with another demo of JCAT, the Just Culture Assessment Tool. Today we're going to focus on the core of JCAT, which is in fact the assessment algorithm. I'm going to start by firing up the tool, logging in, and navigating down to one of the employees that is already in the system. As you know, you use JCAT when an employee has had some procedural breach and you need to evaluate how to respond to that breach. In today's example, we're going to make up some light, perhaps humorous data about an employee working in the Dave sub shop who makes a mistake making a sandwich, and explore the various features involved in assessing the employee's performance. So I'm going to start and say today Bryce is the subject of interest, and we've decided that an error has been made and we're going to assess Bryce's performance. I'm going to create a new assessment, and I'm going to start off by describing the event at a high level, which we'll call stale sandwich served, which might be one of the worst things you can do in a sandwich shop. Okay, we'll fill out a couple pieces of data about where the event occurred. We'll say that was shop number 24, and the event occurred on December 11th at approximately 12:15 and ended the same day. It only takes a few minutes to make a sandwich, right? So that gives us some basic information to get going, but what we really want to delve into is more details on the algorithm itself. So for today, I'm going to skip over the investigation, which is more descriptive information, and I'm going to just start by adding a breach, and we start by describing what it is that went wrong here. There are 5 top-level descriptions, and you just have to pick the one that best suits your situation. So I'm going to say that Bryce had a duty to follow a procedural rule that he did not follow, so we'll click on that. The conduct was that he served a stale piece of bread, and the expectation was that he used fresh bread. Alright, now we'll go into the algorithm itself. The algorithm is designed to lead a manager through a bunch of questions so that they can fairly and justly evaluate an employee's performance when something goes wrong on the job. What we have are a series of questions that the manager can read, answer, and annotate in order to come up with his conclusion. I'm going to just type in some example data to lead us through the algorithm. Was the duty to follow the rule known to the employee? Yes, we'll say that Bryce knew that he was supposed to serve fresh bread. Was it possible to follow the rule? I'll have to kind of interject my own reasoning here, and maybe I want to record that reasoning. So I'll go to the notes panel here, and I will put a note that fresh bread was available and had been delivered that morning. And now that note has been annotated, and perhaps I will add some supporting information. Let's say I had a document that indicated the time of delivery. I could go ahead and attach that document. For now, I'm just going to grab a random document from my drive here that really doesn't represent that data, just to show you that an attachment could be placed here. And we'll go ahead and annotate this little piece of information so that I could find it later. We're going to annotate it with the tag delivery, something easy for me to look up in the future. Go ahead and create that tag. There it is. And now I'm going to go back to the question and say, yeah, it was possible to follow that rule. Did he knowingly violate the rule? No, he was trying to do his job, but he made an honest mistake. So maybe I'll go ahead and make a note of that. Just made an honest mistake. And I will choose no as the answer to the question. He didn't knowingly violate it. And you can see how I get led to this conclusion, which you'll find quite reasonable. Consult the employee and conduct an investigation about the human error. This is where we have a case where someone's not maliciously taking an action. They're not being reckless or anything. They just made a common human mistake, and the algorithm leads us to a just conclusion. Anytime you get to a node in the question tree where there's no further yes and no questions to answer, you are in fact done with that part of the assessment. I'll do one little side trip here just to show one of the features of this display is the scaling feature. So you can scale down to look at all the parts of an algorithm, or if you're like me and have a little difficulty seeing these days, you can go ahead and scale up and scale in to more easily read the questions. But we're done with that. We're going to hit save and skip on down to one of the next areas of the report, which is a summary of the actions. So the action panel takes some of the information that we previously filled in and asks for a little bit more detail on how we plan to respond to this action. And let's say we've decided that the employee missed the stale bread because he didn't see the date on the bread, and I'm going to say a reasonable response is to make better labels on the bread wrappers. And the suggested action for the employee as opposed to the system is that we're going to direct the employee to check dates on wrappers. Great, now that that's all filled out, we can skip on down to the report, and all the information that we have just typed in is assembled into a PDF document which we can then preview in this panel. Notice has a nice little snapshot of the steps of the algorithm that we went through, captured all the text that we typed in. It even has a reference to the notes and attachments that we included in the algorithm, and finally at the end just some general definitions that are used in the report. And we could print that if we wanted to, send it off to a printer, or save it as a separate PDF file. And that concludes the demo of the JCAT system with focus on the assessment algorithm.